So picture this. What if I told you that up to a quarter of the entire world's population is currently hosting an uninvited guest inside their bodies? Well, today we're putting one of the most common parasites on the planet, the giant human roundworm, Ascaris lumbricoides, right under the microscope.
Let's just start with a number. And this isn't some abstract economic figure. No, this is the estimated number of people, men, women, and especially kids, who are infected with this roundworm right now, as we speak. It's just a staggering figure.
Yeah, when you're talking about numbers that high, it is crystal clear that this is a massive global health problem. So let's get into what this parasite actually is and how it became the world's most widespread and most unwanted house guest.
Okay, so what exactly are we dealing with here? Before we can really get the big picture, we've got to understand the basics of this creature's biology.
Right. First thing you need to know, this is an endoparasite. So think of it this way. If a mosquito is a pest that lands on you, Ascaris lumbricoides is a pest that's moved into your house. It has evolved specifically to survive inside of us, making a home right in our gut.
And let's be absolutely clear, we are not talking about some tiny single-celled organism here. This is a metazoan. It's a complex, multicellular animal. It's got its own organ systems, digestive, reproductive, the whole shebang. It is, quite literally, an animal living inside of you.
And here's its family tree, so to speak. As you can see, it is a full-fledged member of the animal kingdom. It's in the phylum Nematoda, which officially makes it a roundworm, one of the most successful and widespread types of animals on the entire planet.
And get this, it has a super close cousin, Ascaris, which usually infects pigs, but they're so genetically similar that cross-infections are a real thing, especially in places where people and livestock live side by side. Now, remember that point, because it's going to be really important later when we talk about prevention.
All right, so we know what it is. Now let's look at where it is. Because the story of this worm is completely different depending on where you happen to live in the world. This slide perfectly captures this tale of two worlds. You've got the global view, where this infection is a huge public health crisis, mostly because of poor sanitation. And then you have a place like the Netherlands, where modern infrastructure has basically wiped out local transmission, turning it into what they call an imported issue.
And the data really tells the same story. Globally, we're talking about more than 800 million cases of the human worm, and it hits children under 10 the hardest. But in the Netherlands, cases are pretty rare, and they're almost always connected to travel. In fact, if you do get infected there, it's actually more likely to be from the pig roundworm making the jump to a person.
So if the problem itself looks so different in different places, it just makes sense that the solutions would be totally different too. How do you even begin to fight this?
The strategies are polar opposites, really. The World Health Organization basically recommends a carpet bombing approach for areas where the worm is common, giving deworming drugs to entire communities, especially kids, without even testing first. But in the Netherlands, it's more like a surgical strike. You need a confirmed diagnosis before you get any medicine, and then they follow up to make sure it's really gone.
So here's the key takeaway. Even though the medicines are similar, how they're used is worlds apart. Think of a drug like albendazole as a broad-spectrum tool, perfect for those mass campaigns where you just need to treat everybody. Mebendazole, on the other hand, is used more like a precision tool for specific patients in places where you can be a lot more targeted.
Okay, so that's treatment. But what about actually finding the infections in the first place? I mean, with 1 billion people at risk, how do you figure out who has it? Well, technology has a pretty amazing answer.
For decades, the only way to diagnose this was to have a highly trained technician sit at a microscope for hours, just manually hunting for tiny worm eggs in a stool sample. It's slow, it's tedious, there's just no way to scale that up for millions of people. So how do you solve that bottleneck?
The answer, believe it or not, is to teach a computer to do the job. Researchers are now developing and training AI models to do the exact same work as a human expert, but thousands of times faster. It's incredible.
And the results are just, wow. These AI systems can scan digital images of samples and spot the Ascaris lumbricoides eggs with over 95% accuracy. That is as good and sometimes even better than a person. This technology is a potential game changer for big screening programs and could completely revolutionize how we fight this parasite. So, looking down the road, the real answer here isn't just about better drugs or fancier tech. It's about fundamentally rethinking our whole approach to health. And this is where that One Health idea we touched on earlier comes back in a big way. To really get a handle on a parasite that jumps between people and animals, you can't just treat the sick people. You have to manage the health of the animals, deal with their waste, and improve sanitation for everyone, all at the same time. It's all one interconnected system, and tackling it that way is the only way we're really going to make progress.
We've covered a ton of ground today, and we pulled together information from a whole range of sources to bring you this explainer. If you want to do a deeper dive, we've got a full list of those sources in a document that you can find linked below.
Hey, if you found this interesting, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. We'd also love to hear from you down in the comments. What was the most surprising thing you learned about the giant human roundworm? Let us know. Thanks for tuning in.